Hi, and welcome to Avatar Tea Time with Beav and Jess.
Yes, welcome.
Husband and wife.
Husband and wife.
Drinking tea.
Drinking tea.
And talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Ooh, let's go.
Cheers, babe.
Cheers, baby.
Yeah. Welcome back. Yeah, we're going to be covering two episodes today. But yeah, before we even jump into that, is there any thoughts, any ideas, updates, anything?
Oh, just in general?
Just in general, yeah.
Ooh. Not really.
Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
No. Just happy to be here.
Yeah. Happy to be here.
You know what's funny is we're gonna be talking about episode 11, and it's the Great Divide. And before, I think we've been kind of putting this episode a little off because everyone says it's the least favorite episode of Avatar: Last Airbender.
Right, yeah. And that's what you read, yeah?
That's what I read. Online. I mean, according to Google.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is honestly the worst episode in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like we could reach and talk about these are the effects of the war, and these people are having to, kind of run away from the Fire Nation. Mm-hmm. And you see kind of the hardships that you have to go through to run away from the Fire Nation, but it's kind of just dumb.
Yeah, just dumb.
Yeah. Do you want to read the overview?
Yeah, I'll read the overview. Yeah. But I apologize, baby. I gave no update, but did you have anything to say?
Oh, no. I don't think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just happy to be here.
Just living life, happy to be here. Sitting in our office, recording Avatar Tea Time. Woo-hoo. There's nowhere I'd rather be,
Perfect.
So, yeah.
I love it.
Cool.
Yeah, so the overview for the Great Divide is this. The gang arrives at the Great Divide, the world's largest canyon. Two Earth Kingdom tribes bicker with each other about how to cross the canyon, having been enemies for a century. Aang helps them cross the canyon together and is able to end the feud by fabricating a story about their ancestors.
That's a good wrap up to that. I feel like we can move on. And the one point is that what I learned from this episode is that lying is okay. As long as it ends this feud, this family feud.
Yeah. Have you ever lied to just end a fight or end a feud in your life?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, everybody has.
No, but tell me the
No, I can't think of
okay.
something, but there's just things where it's just I guess if you, not you have to actively tell a lie, but you don't have to just tell what you know.
Right.
Just so that something doesn't get blown up.
Right.
Yeah. So, but what do you think about that as far as from an ethics standpoint?
Yeah.
Do you think it's okay to? Because, I mean, these two families have been feuding for forever. Yeah. And Aang lies on the real history. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, I guess we can work together and we can look to the future instead of the past. And so it's they pull out a good thing from it. But, what do you think as far as ethics go?
I mean, as ethics go, I think anytime you're a leader and you do it in front for these two groups, sometimes it's the best option.
What do you mean?
I'm saying for
Aang?
For Aang, he was he's in this authority sort of figure sort of thing. And he's trying to, help these guys sort through their trial or whatever, opposition. And so I just think of it as like a parent, you know. I feel like we're gonna lie to our kids.
So you do think it's okay in like just certain situations?
I think in certain situations, yeah.
I feel like as long as you're like, it's something where like as far as like lying as I don't even know, like if you're not like intentionally trying to like deceive people,
right?
And it's just like
just for the betterment.
Yeah, like for right now, it's just better if they don't know, or like if you know if they think something as they mature.
Right.
I don't know.
Like that was the government with the aliens thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying though.
I know it's like a certain point.
Well, you're like saying that also. It's like okay if you're in this authority position, but it's not.
No, it's not. You know. At the same time, you're right. I meant it more. Well, I guess there's no one like black or like, white.
It definitely is a scale, I think, as far as like maybe it was a good thing that because like these two groups, they're like
fighting
and they're like gonna kill each other, you know, and they have been killing each other, I assume. But so like Aang, I don't know, but who knows?
Yeah. It was interesting because these two like villages tribes have been arguing, and just like their personalities, who they are genuinely are so opposite. They're completely opposite from one another. And it's just interesting with that because I immediately thought the story at the end talking about Jin Wei and Wei Jin, I like they're literally opposite. You know, like the wording, everything is literally opposite. So I think it's foretelling for this book at the end with the whole koi pond fishes.
And just kind of like what the show is talking about overall, which is balance.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess like now that we're talking about it, like I hate saying that I hate this episode, you know, because I mean
it's always good parts.
Yeah, there is good stuff you can always pull out of it. And how they agree that like the other ones are kind of like astonished at the end because they like defeated those cave crawlers or whatever those bug things, and they agreed to the end, and like we're astonished that they're like, oh, maybe you are like this does come in handy, and so they're able to put like their differences aside and come at it like, you know, if we work together then there's, you know, harmony in it. So.
And that's the whole part of Aang and his essential duty as the avatar, especially in this episode. I feel like he was like really all like this is what I'm supposed to do. Like he's supposed to solve problems and create harmony and create hope for people. A big thing that Aang kept on saying is throughout this episode also was that like harsh words don't solve problems, actions do. So that was like something he kept on saying, and he just was like so focused on creating that balance and stuff, which I can't wait to talk about in the next episode when we talk about episode 12. But anyways, but what are your thoughts with that quote? Harsh words don't solve problems, actions do.
I love that. And I do. I love that because at the end of the day, you know, it's action that will either, you know, cause something to move. It causes something to happen. Action does, you know. But it's funny because so like there's that great principle of like you gotta act and you gotta, but then it's all like up to how people perceive it and how they will like change things to fit their narrative. You know what I mean? Because
Oh my gosh.
Or like just like their point of view as right, because so like Aang said that again, and he says it all throughout the episode, like you said, and then the two groups are like, yeah, you know what, you're right, action will, and then they're getting all riled up and are about to fight, and they just like totally took it this different way that than Aang intended. But yeah, that's why I just feel like even all advice is like good advice, but could be bad depending on how the person chooses to take it,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
But I love the way that Aang like uses it.
As far as like harsh words. No more complaining and
yeah, because then there's that really like
negativity.
That principle where it's just like you gotta roll up your sleeves.
And,
harsh words won't do anything except for maybe like worsen the situation.
I love it.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that, or?
Nope. I think that's pretty much all.
You're like, I think you said it all. I did not think you were going to take it that deep. And I'm just like, and yeah. Philosophy hour.
One philosophy hour. Ooh, let's go. Sorry. One thought I did have was the canyon. The canyon guide, and how he talked about the canyon, and how he talked about how how the canyon was formed, and how he talked about how the canyon was formed by spirits from the past, and they were angry or something like that, and caused this great divide. And I mean, obviously, scientifically, the canyon is carved by water and air.
Yeah.
Over time.
Oh yeah.
But I just thought it was interesting them talking about just spirits and how they formed all of this, and I think it's just so. I don't know. It's this storytelling of spirits, and the reason why the features of our earth look the way they do is, I mean, we have it in so many of our storytelling with different cultures and things this was formed because this god didn't like this god, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just really cool and interesting how they incorporated this sort of spirituality or cultural mindset and thoughts into forming this grand canyon.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Because culturally speaking, and the Polynesian culture, they do believe in different, I guess, gods or things having a spirit to it. So that's awesome. Yeah. Just what you're saying, the water, the wind, the earth, all of the elements,
Right.
That's dope.
Anyways.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? You feeling good about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just the overarching message for me is it's okay to lie.
And back to that.
I'm just kidding. No. It is just funny because Aang just does take a lot of childlike approaches to things where you're I guess you did it, I guess you you brought peace, but you did it in this funny way. Yeah, like a kid would do.
So,
yeah,
which is good. We all need that childlike mindset.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Right.
You ready for the storm?
Yeah.
Episode 12, The Storm.
The Storm.
This one we were excited about.
Yeah.
Very excited for this episode.
Yeah. I know.
So now,
wait, how long are we?
It's about 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I feel good.
Yeah, let's jump into it then.
Okay.
We just took like more time on that one than I thought we would.
Oh, we did?
No, just because I was just like, at the beginning, I was like, oh, I hate this one. This one.
I know.
But then, yeah.
Like this one. Ugh.
Yeah. But no, that was good.
I thought it was so funny reading it on Reddit and being like everyone's just like, this is the least favorite in all funny. Of Avatar Last Airbender series.
And it is dumb.
But
yeah, let's jump over.
But you know what? This one's gold. The storm is a good one. Okay. Let's get into the overview.
Cool.
Okay. So, Sokka accepts a job from a local fisherman to make money, and the man accuses Aang of abandoning the world. In the large ensuing storm, Aang recounts to Katara the events of his dark past. After being told he was the Avatar, Aang was ordered to be separated from his mentor, Monk Gyatso. Upset, Aang ran away from his home where he encountered a deadly storm, causing him to fall into the water, activating the Avatar state, trapping him within the iceberg. Meanwhile, Iroh tells the ship's crew Zuko's story. After speaking out of turn at a war meeting, Zuko was punished by being forced to fight an Agni Kai against his own father. His refusal resulted in him getting a scar and being banished for perceived cowardice. Meanwhile, Aang learns that Sokka and the fishermen are trapped in the storm. He rescues them, earning him the fishermen's respect. Zuko spots them but lets them go, instead opting to escape the storm.
Oh.
Ooh.
Wow. What an overview. So much, yeah, like just hearing that overview, so much happens in this.
It does.
Like getting to know the backstories and just feeling like, oh my gosh.
How do you feel? Like, what are your thoughts with the fact that they not only did the backstory of Aang, but Zuko's backstory, both of them in the same episode?
I just feel like, yeah, it's just so good.
I know.
I feel like there's always these times when we're talking in this podcast and I'm just like, it's just so good. The show is just so good. But it is like, yeah, it just like being older too and just being like, dang, like their stories really do. There's so many parallels and just so many things that are awesome with like what we're talking about. Like especially in this first book, there's so much character development and getting to understand, like really understand the story. And yeah, it's just like they're perfect characters for each other. I think that mirror each other.
I know.
What are your thoughts?
I'm honestly like, I get surprised because we're always like, Aang's the protagonist and Zuko's the antagonist, like in the story.
Yeah.
But like, are they both protagonists in the story? Are they both the main characters?
Yeah.
You know?
Jeez. Yes, like, they are.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to say something.
Okay, tell me.
I think that the episode before that I was hating on so much was just perfect now that I think about it with like what's happening in this episode, you know?
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
I do. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think you tell me what you think I'm saying with that, because I'm just like, that makes sense now that they put that in there.
Okay, well, I see what you are saying. I mean, it's literally creating Aang and Zuko's like story of them like clashing against one another, and them having to go on this like journey kind of parallel together, both not trusting each other, and then having to go through this great fight then together, and then escaping out of this canyon supposedly, you know, like this figurative canyon of their story of, I'm maybe foretelling like what's gonna happen, but
no, for sure. Like I think that is totally like, just because you get to see, like from both sides, and I think I failed to mention this in the last episode, is that during like, because this whole canyon travel,
right,
it's gonna be like a whole day, right? And so they have to sleep in the canyon, and Sokka and Katara split up, so one goes with the other one, the other tribe, and then they both hear their history and their story, and they both think that the other tribe did this fault. Tribe wrong, right, and that they're right. And so it just like goes to show too, just like, you know, misinformation, one, like you're not getting the whole story, you're not getting the whole picture. And then also just like how, like, because of this thing that happened so long ago, that they all in these tribes weren't even there for, they're still holding like this grudge, or like they've been taught this way, or this way of thinking about the other tribe. And that's just like so like Aang and Zuko, because it's like they're just been taught a certain way, and they're trying to do like the best that they can, but they're kids, and it's like it's so much influence, like outside influence, like from, you know, from Zuko's dad. Like his whole thing is trying to like regain his honor, and in the same way like Aang is too, you know, because he runs away, and then he's trying to like, I guess, like live up to what he has been told he is, and what he needs to do, and how he needs to do it. And yeah, so they're both just kids trying to figure out life, and that is just life in general, you know. Yeah. So, and I mean, it's just like so funny that episode before is just so, you know, like everything. Okay, this is how I'll explain it. There's like a parable, and have you ever heard of this parable of like, so there's this guy, and there's like 7 blind men. Okay. And he tells each of them to like touch a part of an elephant. I remember this. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes. And so one's touching like the tusk, one's touching the trunk, one is touching the tail, and they all come back. They're all blind, and so he's like, okay, I want you guys to all explain to me what an elephant is. Yeah. And one's like, well, it's sharp and it's hard. And then the other another blind person is like, no, it's not. It's like really like long and squishy, or and they're all explaining different parts of, and they're telling their truth, you know, what they really experienced and encountered, but it's like not the whole truth. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. Keep going.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I just go down so many like paths like this, like with the Avatar and just life and philosophy, and
I love it. I love it.
But wow, what a good show.
What a great show. Yeah, and just like looking at it now from like this like third person perspective, Aang and Zuko, we're like seeing both of them. Well, okay, not yet though. Technically, in the book, we're not really seeing Zuko's arc. We're kind of starting to see, I mean, towards the end, seeing that, oh, he's starting to change his mindset a little bit. Yeah. Like, he's not so just one-tracked mind, focus. Because, like, the very beginning of the episode, Zuko was like, we got to follow the Avatar. This is where he's going. This is what we're doing. And
he's, like, getting in fights with his crew.
Yeah, with his crew, because Uncle Iroh said that there's a storm that's coming. Yeah. And Zuko's like, well, he's just like so headstrong, and the crew's getting mad at him because they're a huge storm rolls in, and he's just like, well, we gotta still find the Avatar. Like, but then the end, he chooses the safety of his crew. Yeah. when he sees the Avatar literally come out of the water in the sky, right. Instead of like chasing the Avatar, he decides to get the crew to safety. So it's like you're starting to see this mind shift of Zuko a little bit, and we also see now like where this drive to get his honor back came from. And
just his story. Yeah. His story in general, because you're just like, he's not the bad guy. Right. He's not a bad guy. Mm-mm. And Uncle Iroh knows that. And Uncle Iroh, like, he is really trying to develop that. And so he's letting him, like, fail and teaching him where he can, but not being, like, overbearing. And then letting him, you know, just kind of grow up around a great influence like Uncle Iroh that's never like stepping in to be like, no, you can't do that, or like, no, we're turning the boat around, or, you know, like disrespecting him. He's like listening to what he's doing, but he's letting him fail like you need to, like, especially being a leader. Yeah. And so, you know what, I always remember how like Zuko sees them flying the Avatar, and this is the first time that he puts the crew's safety before. Yeah. And so you can see like this little like smile on Uncle Iroh's face. You can see it. But I always remember that part, but then I always like overlook for some reason about like how crazy of a responsibility Aang has. And he goes through his own little moment where he like figures out that he can do like he is the Avatar, and he can protect, because like so there's this huge storm, and then when he's saving the old man and Sokka, like he has this moment where this huge wave takes all of them under, and he kind of like, he looks at all of them and can see like the old man, Sokka, Katara, even Appa, you know, are like, they're like losing consciousness almost, and then he's like, no, and steps up and then just like gets them all out of there. And it was like for Zuko, I felt like it was to lean into his goodness, and for Aang it was like to lean into his power.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, I really, really love that. Aang's story is interesting. Ooh, okay. I really want to go back to that. I want to talk about Aang's story a little bit more. Yeah. I loved that he went into the Avatar state. This storm comes and takes him away, and he goes into the Avatar state again, kind of forming this sort of like air bubble thing, just like how he formed the iceberg. Yeah. And it's kind of like it was like a redo almost. Ooh. For him to go back and go back and, just like what you said, like recognize his power and realize that like he can do it, and he is capable of being the Avatar. And it's so interesting with his story that when he was told that he was the Avatar, he like instantly like didn't want to be the Avatar. He was just like, I just chose these, because when the monks told him that he was the Avatar, they knew it from these like baby toys he chose, and they thought, they assumed it's because it felt familiar to him that these were all Avatar relics from each of the tribes. And so and it's almost as he was like denying it. He's like, no, I'm not the Avatar. And then when he goes and plays with all his friends, the friends are like, no, like, it's an unfair advantage. So already he's just like, you know, when that's like the biggest thing in your life as a kid. Yeah. Like, you don't get to play with your friends and play the games that you want. Yeah. And they're not letting you play. Yeah. And then Monkey Otso plays Paisho with him, and we find out that he's the guardian of Aang and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so he runs away not only because of like the weight of it, I feel like, but also because he just wanted to be free of being the Avatar. Like, I feel like he's like, no, these guys can't send me away from Monkey Otso and all this stuff. Like, they're telling him what to do and all these things. Like, he's just a kid and he just wants to be normal.
Right. He just wants to do what he wants to do.
Right. Yeah. Which is like a whole other thing.
Yeah, totally.
But I think, honestly, it's just so, it's like kind of like, oh, is this what was meant to be? Is this what was meant to happen? Because I feel like in order for Aang to really recognize that he was the Avatar, like, do you think he needed to have these experiences with Sokka and Katara? Or do you think he could have with Monkey Otso?
I think he could have.
Oh, really?
Like, if he like stayed with Monkey Otso, I think he would have just, you know, if they like forced him to do it, he could have. But
okay.
But yeah, I don't think that it was like meant to be. You know, because they talk about in the episode that, like, they talk about almost like their purpose, you know, and this is like the episode where you see both of them kind of step into like more of like the role themselves instead of like being told to do it. Yeah. Yeah. But I liked what you said about how, like, you know, he does that air bubble thing, the same one that he does when he like freezes in the iceberg. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's totally different. Like, it is. He like did it with like, because that's probably something that he just naturally knows how to do. Right. And he just like was running the first time, but this time it was like what he like who he is like enough, like, and what he knows is like enough to just like pull on that thread a little, you know, right. And for him to believe like he can do it. Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah. But yeah, they're both just kids that are like forced to grow up really fast. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And learning through trial and error. Yeah. Which we all are.
We all are.
To relate that back to like just us, you know, everybody. Yeah.
Something I also wanted to mention, going back to Zuko and him speaking up at the Fire Lords or the commanders. Yeah. Whatever war meeting they had.
Yeah, war meeting.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And how he spoke up, and I mean, what he talked about, it was good, and what he was defending, because essentially they were just wanting to put these young soldiers out just as bait. Yeah. While like the real fighting and war strategy was happening on the other end. Yeah. But Zuko saw that as like, you can't do that. You can't use these young soldiers as bait. Yeah. Was just, I mean, he's right, but it wasn't his place. And Uncle Iroh let him into that war meeting. Yeah. And so while we were watching, you mentioned that you're like, ooh, is there a reason why, not only because he's his uncle, but you had the question of like, do you think he also thought it was his fault that Zuko got banished and had to go against his father, and then ultimately got banished.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, I was laughing at that part because it was just like, you see in this war meeting that Zuko is trying to walk in and the guards actually stop him.
Yeah.
So it's probably this meeting that he's not supposed to be at, you know, because they're going over these war strategies of sacrificing a whole, like, you know, and I was like, I made that like connection with that. It was Uncle Iroh that was like, he's okay to come in. He's like, just don't speak up. So yeah, I do think that Uncle Iroh like takes it upon himself that it was like his fault, but he like, it's so good because I feel like this, thinking back to this episode, like I almost like got emotional at that part when he stands up and he's like, you guys can't do this, like these are, you know, he really loves the Fire Nation, Zuko. He's just like, these are people that love the Fire Nation and have devoted their lives to the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
And he's not the crazy one, you know, for saying that.
Isn't.
But then all of them feel disrespected and are mad that he said that, you know. So I think that Uncle Iroh feels bad. And then you also get to see, like, in this flashback that, yeah, like, he's really not the bad guy, you know. Nobody, I feel like in life too, I always like relate it back to, but like in life too, it's like people, you wouldn't like think that they are the bad guy, because I feel like, you know, in life, like you have like run-ins with people, and of course there's like, you got to act right, but like there's a lot of things where you just don't know like what made somebody like that. You don't know what kind of stuff they're dealing with, or you know, so
because even the crew, while Uncle Iroh is telling them, the crew, about Zuko's story, we're just like, oh, like I thought he was just this stuck up, you know.
And one of the crew is like, oh, I thought it was a training accident.
Oh, right. They
didn't
even know.
So they just don't even know that.
Which I'm surprised about, to be honest.
Yeah.
That they didn't really know that it was from his father.
Yeah.
But maybe it was
that's
like
bad. That's bad publicity, though. Like, the Fire Lord really just like fire slapped his son in the face. Like, that guy is not a good dude if he's fire slapping his son.
That's true.
Causing the scar and having this Agni Kai with his son.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting. Maybe like it was something where only like the high generals and stuff that were there, and there's kind of like this notion not to
speak about
speak about what really happened. You know, it could ruin the Fire Lord's image.
Well, yeah, and those who are at that upper level probably already, like, the Fire Lord knows that, like, they know that he is right.
Oh yeah, you know? And they're like 100% committed to the cause of the Fire Lord, and
and whoever steps in the way, like even if it's his son, creepy, should be banished.
Yeah, that's creepy. People are creepy.
I know.
Like, undying devotion too is creepy.
Right. Honestly, to be so one-sided, to be so black and white.
Yeah, or just to follow like somebody so closely that like anything they say goes.
Right.
And you're not able to really like
speak.
Yeah, speak, because you might be punished, or you know, you might not be able to live the quality of life that you would want to live, or you know, whatever. Because you say something that you believe is like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
interesting.
That is interesting.
It's an interesting mindset too.
Yeah.
You know? Because like, there could be just totally the other side argument.
I know. And that's, like, that is the crazy thing, is that, like, I don't think that I don't think anything is objectively right.
I know.
You know, because like something that is like so right for somebody could be so wrong for another. And who's to say, you know, like just how like we believe that like Zuko or like kind of is like the antagonist, you know,
right,
for the show right now. Like he doesn't believe that, you know, and there's some people that doesn't. Yeah, and even like the fisherman in this, that was funny. I really liked the fisherman in this episode because he was like, wait, a boy with tattoos. He's like, you're an airbender. So he's not a dumb dude. Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, you're the Avatar, aren't you? And he's like, yeah, I am. And he's like, well, I don't care. He's like, you've never done anything for me. You've been gone for 100, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so it was funny that he just like takes this, like, you don't affect my life, you know? Like,
right.
I don't care that you're the Avatar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's totally like justified in that thought too, you know?
I'm stoked for the Zuko movie.
Oh, I know.
I'm
Me
excited.
too.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are.
I am too. I think that we were talking about this. I was like, why can't they just give the people what they want? Like, you know that if they did like they just like did another season.
Yeah.
And they're like older.
Right.
And it's like this whole season is like there's like this thing that they're trying to stop.
Right.
So it's like all leading up to like stopping this thing or this like this adventure that they're on. But it's the same gang, it's the same crew, and you know, like like people would love that.
Right.
You know?
Well, they aren't they?
Well, they're making the movie and they're making like the Zuko movie and stuff, but like why not just do like more books?
Right.
And they're just older.
I remember that video we watched the other day.
Which one?
About the guy, and he's like, that's the end. That's the end of the series.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, there's no books. There's no more books.
And
after
he's
that.
like, nah, stop playing. Play the next book.
And I was like,
yeah.
And he's like, no, that's it. And that's how we felt. Yeah. And that's how we will feel after we go through all of them again.
I am excited though, like just to kind of like start to wrap things up. Like this is such a good episode.
This is.
And the next episode is the Blue Spirit.
Yeah.
And it's just like things are just like happening now, and like I feel like the first book is kind of like we're like over like the kind of roughest parts.
Right.
Of the series.
It's like all character development, understanding where they come from, who they are,
who like what the Avatar's job is.
Right.
Like, it's like building it up. And I say that we're past the roughest parts, just saying like I still love like all of the episodes, you know. I love the Avatar Last Airbender just in general, but
the story
this is like
keeps growing.
Yeah, I told like a friend who's never watched Avatar. Like, what? Yeah. Crazy, huh?
What?
But yeah, no, I told him like, cause he was like, you're like the third person that told me I have to watch this show.
Yeah.
And he's like, I believe in synchronicity, so I'm gonna watch this show. And I was like, yeah, and I was like, and like it is like kind of a slow build. So I was just like, you got to give it a chance, you know, you got to really give it a chance before it gets awesome, you know? Yeah. So
it's already awesome.
It is already awesome. I got to say that.
Huh? Something about this episode at the very end I do want to talk about. So, Katara, because at the very beginning of the episode, Aang, it's a nightmare that Aang has. And he's, it's about his past a little bit. It seems that way. And ooh, I forgot to bring this up. It's about Monkey Yatso. And Monkey Yatso in the dream tells him, we need you, Aang.
Yeah.
And and he just like feels this like huge burden on himself. Yeah. And he wakes up, and guess who wakes all of them up?
Is it Momo?
Yeah, it's really? Momo. Yeah.
I did not catch that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so literally cool.
So I'm like, there we go. Another clue to is Momo a reincarnation of Monkey
Yeah. I 100% believe it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love believing that, you know? Because when you're a kid, you're not just like making this connection like, oh, is Momo Monkey like reincarnated? But like, it makes so much sense too. Oh my gosh.
Oh, tell me.
I'm like wondering, can I even say this? Because what do you mean? I'm gonna say it, okay?
Yeah, is this a spoiler?
Like, if you're my friend that hasn't watched it yet, then just turn it off right now. Just turn this podcast off, because I'm gonna say something that's so cool. And what you just said, do you remember? Yeah. Okay, last season.
Yes.
The last book. So Aang's like waiting for the Fire Lord. Uh-huh. And the last person to be with him is Momo.
Really?
Yeah. Well, Momo is, oh my gosh. If you think about it in that sense, that it's Monk Gyatso, like, yeah. So he like goes to the water. Right. He goes to the, okay, yeah. I'm just gonna say, if you haven't seen it, he goes to the lion turtle. The lion turtle's like following him, and only him and Momo go.
That's true.
And then the lion turtle drops him off, and he's waiting for the Fire Lord, and he's like, okay, Momo. And he's like, oh my gosh, it's just like the freaking, like what is the word? But like the freaking emotion just to be like, Monk Gyatso's been there the whole time. And when Aang's like ready to face the Fire Lord, he's like, okay, like I can do it.
Yeah.
And Monk Gyatso is like the last person to leave his side.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. We don't even know if that's
true.
What
a good freaking show. I'm going to believe it.
Okay, let's believe it.
Yeah.
Okay. So also,
dope.
It's so dope. I want to mention something else.
Yeah. You're great at keeping notes. Jess is the studious one. Jess keeps all notes, and I'm happy she does. Because she always knows.
But even though I take notes, you remember so much more than me.
Well, I'm just like, well, we just watched it.
I know, but I have like the worst recollection sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
So.
No, I'm grateful you do, babe. Because you bring up points that I totally forget.
Okay.
We complete each other.
Oh, man, you complete me. I do feel like I'm dribbling all around.
No, good. Do it.
So when Aang overhears Monk Gyatso and the other monks, the other monks are like, we can't have you be his guardian anymore, and we're taking him to the East Air Temple. And Monk Gyatso's like, what? Like, no, fighting for him. Yeah. And Aang overhears all of that and leaves.
Yeah.
And then that's when he like takes all his stuff and like runs away, kind of. He looks like he like left a note for Monk Gyatso.
Yeah.
And we don't know what that note says. I wonder what it says.
I know, I thought of that too.
Yeah.
I wonder what that said.
But
did he say I love you? Like, did he say?
Probably, yeah. But Monk Gyatso, before Aang had already left, but Monk Gyatso came in the middle of the night and was like, Aang, I'm not gonna let them take you away from me. You know?
Yeah.
And he was gone.
Yeah.
You know? And
I know.
It's like so sad, but at the same time, like, he was always there. You know?
Yeah. And like, yeah, how different would it have been if he did like get to Aang before he left, and then Aang was like, oh, you're not gonna, okay, like he'd feel like
a little bit,
yeah, like he has
family,
family, yeah. And that's like crazy. The whole thing of like the the air nomads, right? Is that they're supposed to be
with the
like
monks.
Detached from everything, and that's why I feel like there is, and that just goes to show like who's right or wrong,
right?
You know, just like what we were talking about earlier, because it's like Monk Gyatso, he's a great teacher and airbender, but like, is that always the case to be detached, you know?
Right.
Or would that have been like better for Aang to learn and to, yeah.
Well, my thought is like, I know like before we were like, could he have been the Avatar?
Yeah.
And defeated the Fire Lord?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if he stayed with the monks.
Right.
Or did he need Katara, Sokka, and those who are coming up?
Right. Yeah.
Even Zuko in the end.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah, and that's like, just like, yeah.
Did he need all those people in order to do it?
Right.
I think so.
Yeah, no, I totally. So, like, what do you think about with, like, yeah, with that concept of, like, everything works out like it should? Do you believe that? Or, like, would it have just ended the war if he just, like, stayed? Even, you know, so it's just like,
or like the avatars who came after him.
Yeah. So like,
ooh,
do you believe in? I mean, because like that's another argument that like you'll never get to the bottom of, because it's just like I can see both.
I can see both too. I guess you're right. I can't fully just be like, I think he had to, like, this
no, but I
destiny.
do like agree with you.
Right.
Like I do think that he had to go through that too. Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, that's what's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
We can't tell somebody else of their own destiny, or like what they're supposed to do, or what.
Yeah, you can't. And you can't even ever know your own, like, how everything's going to play out in your own life.
Right. You just got to do what you think, I guess. Do your best.
I think you just got to, like, try your best in the moments, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's happening.
Right.
And then give yourself some grace.
Right.
For, like, the mistakes. Or, like, what you view or perceive as mistakes, and really could be the best thing that happened. That's true. Oh my gosh, this is so much good. Like, because too, like this fisherman that like hated Aang the whole time, and he's like, I don't care about the Avatar. Like, you're late, and he's like making him feel like so bad, you know. Right. But he has a good point. He does have a point. Have a great point. But at the end, he's just like, the guy still is like, I don't know, like about destiny or what's supposed to happen, but I do know that if you weren't here today, I wouldn't be here either. I would have died out at sea. Right. So he's like, I don't know, like, who am I to say that you being locked away for 100 years, or locked away, or just like gone for 100 years is like inherently bad. Right. Because he's right, you know, like you can't really.
Right. And all of us have I'm sure, like both you and I have had experiences where you're just like, that experience, that time was it just like that meant to happen at that time, you know?
Absolutely.
And so it's just like, ooh. Yeah. It's hard to know.
Yeah. I mean, because you can like apply that to life in every case.
100% you can.
Because like you and me have even talked about like us getting married. Right. Like, you know, everything has to work out in order for us to be together, you know? Right. Like there's so many things, choices, like timing, everything that just has to line up, and it's so crazy, and life is so crazy that, you know, that now that, you know, you, my wife, someone that means the world to me is like my wife, because it's just all of these like
other
choices and unfolding and life and wow, I'm all like philosophizized out.
No, one more philosophy, okay, because I didn't finish my point.
Oh, you didn't? I'm sorry.
Because I forgot, because I got so excited about like Gyatso and Momo.
Yeah.
At the very end, Katara says, oh, by the way,
what?
Never mind. Okay. So at the very end, Katara tells Aang that that she's just like, see, you probably won't have any terrible nightmares anymore, because Aang was just they're having this conversation, and he's just basically done and feels good now, and he's not no longer dwelling on the past.
Yeah.
And so and of course, like, when he was dwelling on the past, it led to those nightmares. And so it's just like a good reflection of real life when you're not dwelling on the past so much and having this anxiety of what's to come, or and you focus on, he was just talking about having hope and focusing on what you can do now.
Yeah.
That anxiety, that kind of dwelling on the past thoughts, those nightmares, even what he has in real life, goes away.
Yeah.
So, yes, one last philosophy hour.
Yeah. I love that.
I thought it was just really good.
That's always a good reminder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in general. Yeah, that like all we have is like, not to be like cliche or anything, but like all we have is the present.
Right.
And what we do now.
Is what's important.
Yeah, that's the most important. So, that's awesome.
Love it, baby.
I love it, baby.
You feel good?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Watch the Avatar: The Last Airbender if you haven't.
Oh my gosh, do it now. Watch all of them. Binge.
All right, bye.